My name is Dwin the Stoic. I'm a writer, musician, journalist, and several other things. So I'd encountered the word stoic in a song by Mumford and Sons, and I was very fascinated by the idea of going through life, just um, good or bad, just taking things as they come. And I thought it to be very interesting, and I tried to take it on. Of course, it's an oxymoron now because I'm not stoic. I make songs about feelings and good feelings, bad feelings, but feelings nonetheless. But yeah, when time came to choose a name to put out music with, I kept bouncing between Dwin or the Stoic, and then I found out there was another Dwin, so I just went with Dwin the Stoic. Always, always. I think just going as far like as a kid, I was introduced to just very interesting genres of music from my father, who used to DJ at some point in university, and so there was a bunch of records at home. I would say a lot of the sad songs I write now I attribute to listening to a lot of Jim Reeves as a kid. My dad played a lot of Jim Reeves, the Beatles, and so yeah, I do a lot of, I just listened to a lot of different types of music, Ebenezer Obey sometimes. So yeah, it was a very nice mix. So I always loved music. Hmm. I would say officially that was 2018 when I decided to put out an album. The album is called Heavy Heart, and the decision came. Well, I decided sometime around 2017. I was working as a technical consultant at the time. I was working with finance institutions, and not unlike RiseWest. And I was mostly helping with like programming and whatnot. I was a tech guy for a lot of them, and at the time I just said, you know what, I want to make an album. I have a bunch of songs I've been writing. I've been writing since 2007. Wrote my first song in 2007, and so, you know, by 2017, it had been 10 years of just writing and keeping it in my books. And I mean, I'd recorded once or twice, but nothing. I was not an artist. And so 2018, I decided, you know what, I'm going to put these songs out and let people feel them or know what they feel about them. And yeah. The inspiration for, I mean, I'm inspired by different things. I think with the songs, most times every song is a particular story. How what I employ in terms of the lyrics or the melody or the type of genre, because I think that's one thing I don't put myself in any box regarding genre. I've done house music, I've done hip hop, I've worked with rappers like at least 4 times in my life. I've done just a bunch of different genres. So I would say that listening to these different people helped me have this sort of, you know, palette to work with. So right now, and even working on the song, it was a thing where all the things I knew came to play. There's like, what have I done like this before? What have I heard like this? And just bringing it all together. Hmm. That's actually been a conversation for the longest time. I'm not sure. I can't. So there was a time when the word alternative would have sufficed, but I think it's beyond that now. I think, and with the music that's coming, I think you would call me more pop, but again, not necessarily Afro pop. But there is Afro pop in there. But there's also, I don't know how to say that. I don't think it's possible to say that Dwin the Stoic makes this kind of music because I'm working on a salsa song now. I am probably going to do a Fuji song sometime in my life. I work with a person who does reggae. Like, all these things are bound to happen or have already happened. And so when I'm asked about genres, I'm just like, I just make music. It's just, yeah. Since 2018, I think I've been just encountering new, parts of this journey and having to come into a place where I can even say that music is just one of the things I do, not a side thing or nothing. I think that being unsure, being it's not a pretty industry. It's a tough one, and to then not be doing the conventional sound, you have to deal with the uncertainty of that. But I also just really love music, and so for me, it came down to, I want to do this because I'm quite good at it and I like doing it. So yeah, that's where we're at. And I'd say growth has also been amazing. I think earlier this year I crossed 1 million streams across platforms, and that was really cool because again, I wasn't necessarily doing this for the numbers, but I mean the numbers are great. But yes, I think it's great to have the growth so far. The challenges with that, I would say, on one hand, I would say you feel like there's a lot more to prove when you're doing music that's not the popular um, sound of the day. But I would also say that the way that music moves, I mean, there was a time when um, rock was pop, and now it's a bit more fringe and all, But you find that it moves, and so I've stopped worrying about that most times. I think in what I said earlier, I think I've just now got to a place where I'm like, you know what, I like doing music, and the music I'll make might even be the popular sound at some point, or it's not. But is it a good song? Is it a good story? I think that's the extent of my current how I take a look at the music industry. I want to make good music for people who enjoy good music, regardless of genre. So that's the exactly letting go of that is very important. I think letting go of the. I think being different doesn't need to be, the tortured, struggling artist thing. You could be selling out shows. I mean, people are. That's the thing. In the genres that we explore that are fringe and alternative here, they're not like in some countries you have a full career with that. So I also, and with the world being like less of a you're stuck where you are. I mean, for me, next year I would really like to, I want to tour, I want to travel, and yeah, take the sound to all the places. And what I've learned, I'm also a very huge student of music, of just checking up on old artists, what are they doing now, and all that. And like you find out some people just like had the chance to spread their music across the world. They found a city that was not theirs, but that became home. A recent example of that was finding out that Elton John lives in Atlanta in the US. If you had said that to me on a random day, I'd just be like, that doesn't make sense. He's Sir Elton John. He's going to be in the UK, but no, he found Atlanta. So I think with the world becoming what it is now, I think nobody needs to be, oh, I'm the fringes and nobody will listen to me. I think, yeah, it may not be your country. That's just the fact. It may not be your country that appreciates the sound, but yeah, it just, there's a market for sure. The current music scene, I think, is in a very important point right now where. So I would say that every time I hear about a new collaboration with a foreign artist from Thames to Arasta to, Burner, whatever it is that I hear that's happening, all I see there is a chance for the structures here to become more solid for fringe artists, for alternative artists, for artists who are not doing the pop sound. Because the thing is, if the industry was set up in the way that a lot of industries outside of Nigeria are set up, even if you were not doing the more popular sound, you should still be able to, there's publishing, you get your stuff in movies, all these things in ads. The structure is now like, becoming more defined, because with working with foreign artists, that means you're signing deals with them, you're learning what's working there and all that. So I like that that's happening for us. I think we used to occupy this space before, funny enough. So Sunny Ade was touring the world, he wasn't here. Ebenezer Obey, all of them, fella, they came here, they played their shows, they played well, but the idea of going to Chicago next week to do a show was not foreign. They were going to pack up and go and play a show and come back. So we're getting back there, I think. And I think, yeah, I mean, Nigerians, I think this is why a lot of people like look at us weird, but we have this thing where we make good music. We've been doing it for a long time, and so we're getting back to a place where we're taking that everywhere. So this will happen for, I think, the popular sound, but also for the fringe alternative sound. I have a day job. That's how that is. I mean, I will say that it's quite possible to earn. I think in a lot of since 2018, I think a lot of what I have been doing and being an independent artist, not being signed, means you're learning a lot of things by yourself. I think yeah, it's been a lot of learning. It's been finding out, okay, I make good music. What does that mean for me as to earn as an artist? And so that's where you find out that, okay, so I may not get played in the clubs, but I could get a slot in this movie, and that's been something that has been very prevalent in my. I think I think my music syncs well with visuals, I would say, and so um, a couple shows here and there. Have some stuff working that I'm working on with people about like their visuals, and of course, add music. So I would say money has always been an interesting thing for me. I've not. It's one of the things where I see. I know it's necessary. I'm not a huge fan of how necessary it is, but I know it is, and so I've always tried to optimize for that. So in the way that since I left uni, I don't know, over 7, 8 years ago, I've always had some type of like paid employment in some way, and yeah, that has always been a thing that I've had to do alongside the music, because I think this is mostly the advice I give to young artists or alternative artists who are not you need to not, like, you can't create from a place of lack. It starts to affect the art. I think I had a brief period where I had to I didn't in between jobs, and you just find that with the music you kind of start going at it as a you know I don't have anything to do and I must do this, and then that with that comes some signing deals that are not the best for you. You can't negotiate much because you just need this thing to leave. And so most of the time I would just say, and it's funny, I saw a recent interview with Ashake, and where he was going that he came to a point where he said it was music or nothing. But that was someone who I would say, even at the time when Omopwe happened, he had some traction. And I would say, but it's also very key that if you have a plan, a path, and you say, you know what, I do want to do this music thing alone, yeah, go for it. It's important. Okay, so it was Adiola of Two Brothers who created the ad, and then he had called me, and he had mentioned that he's doing an ad, and he needs the kind of music I do. And I mean, in that moment, I was like, okay, I guess. Like, I'm not sure which type. And then he mentioned the song by my band, Ignis Brothers. We put out a song called Alien at Home, and it's like he likes the calmness of that, but then shows me a reference track, some other track that was used for an ad. I was like, it had a different pace. I was like, okay, cool. And yeah, I told him, okay, cool, I will work on something quickly. So in about 30 minutes, I wanted to create a distinct sound. When I work with brands, I think from the point, like, I'm also like a person in media. And so I know that for a brand, you want a song, not just to have a song, but you want something that people remember and think of you. And so in the way that McDonald's will have like I'm loving it, that thing, some other brands have that unique, I wanted to create something. So that's where the unique melody at the beginning, that's where it came from. And then following that, beat that tempo, because this is how I write most times. I just kind of, because I don't play any instruments, funny enough, but I mostly like compose in my head. And so I did that, and had at least the first verse and chorus ready in a few minutes. I sent to him. He was like, yep. And then I went to complete the song in the studio with my producer Rafi. And I mean, I create everything with him, and we have a very good synergy. So I'd recorded the voice note and sent them, like, that's what we're doing next. And so when I got to the studio, it was in one night, we just like took out an hour and a half out of our session and then did the song. I would say that one thing that my music usually has is just the fact that my voice doesn't change as much across genres. So I will admit that it's not like any song I have done, but in the writing and in the voice, I think it's still quite similar to a lot of my stuff. But Rise is I think, for lack of better words, an inspirational song in some way. I think it ties into the theme of what Rise is. The word itself, just to leave where you are and just go to a better place, to ascend. And I think that was a key factor in composing the song, to create the feeling of going up. And so you will see that when you get to the chorus, I even sing in a higher register just to take it up, and so that was the concept. And so you will hear a lot of strings as well. I think I'm a sucker for strings. I think it would be hard for me to not put violins or cellos in something I'm doing. So yeah, it's an inspirational song that I tagged indie pop because I think that's what it is. I think it has the is the pop part of it, I think, and then the singing and the lyrics, fit more the indie style. Yeah. I do. I think even in the first few lines. So I didn't write the song. So I mean, if when you're told to write a song for an ad, you don't make a full song usually. You just make what you need for the ad, the 1 minute, and that's it. It's a jingle. But I want to make a song. I think talking with Adela was just like, it'd be good to make a song. I think song works. And yeah, so I had written that like I would write a song I was putting out, and it's out, by the way. And yeah, it was important that, so for example, the first few lines, some days can feel so long, longer than a song, shorter than a dream. It's supposed to speak to how days feel long, but they are they're not as long, like, as there's a dream that is more important than the long day you're having, and so that's why we keep going, because even as long as it is, it's like, but it's shorter than the dream I have. There's still a long way to go. And so with rise and with the chorus, it's like there's still so far to go. It's like you need to rise. It's the journey, really. Yeah. I tell you, 95. Okay, I'm editor in chief as the Coco, and a lot of my work is telling stories, which is ties well with the person that I am. I think I can say that in every aspect of my life, I'm telling stories, and with the newsletters we put out, in the stories we tell, like Naira Life and Love Life, and we explore. We hold up a mirror to Nigeria or to Africa, and we say, "This is you. This is what's happening. This is life." And with that comes a lot of things, and so you're managing a lot of expectations, because people don't realize that the humanity is too diverse for a lot of the strongly held opinions we sometimes have. And I think working as a Coco, you kind of you meet that face to face. But I would say the work is mostly, also growing the brand, growing the, making sure that we're telling important stories and just doing good work. And I would say so far so good. We're working hard at it. It's So I mean, on one hand, I've always been a scatterbrained person. I'm just now using it to my advantage. I've always had the penchant to be on like 50 different things at once, and with working as a Coco and doing music, I think my life constantly feels that way. It can get a bit much sometimes, so I try to, optimize for rest. But a lot of times, yeah, that's it. I'm just there's a bunch of things in front of me, and so you prioritize, and with the 9 to 5, it's mostly, they're very clear with Dwin the Stoic. I try to set certain goals and hit them. With work, there's goals set, there's business objectives, and so finding the best way to approach all of them is just what I do. I try to prioritize, and of course I have an amazing team on both sides. On the Coco end, I have like amazing managing editor, and just a very creative team, and just the whole of Big Cabal Media. And for Dwin the Stoic, I have my manager, and I have my team as well. So yeah, it's gotten a bit easier having people help with things, but it's still a lot, because I mean, a lot of times, just a lot of thinking, and where do you go happens here, so it can be a lot. But yeah, I mean, I put a couple of them on hold, but I mean, it's spread across. So the thing is, in between those two things, you find that every other thing I do, like script writing, podcast creation, um, I mean, video scripting. I just directed my first official music video for Dwin the Stoic, but also at Zakoko, we're creating some new shows which you should look out for. They're really cool. Yeah, so it's like there's a bunch of creative things I do. I've recently, like, my design for the new single Without Your Love. It has I created a bunch of designs, lyric videos, and all that on Canva, and did something where, like, I just really love the tool, and like I do that as well. Design sometimes, whatever it is that needs to be done creatively, I just kind of find a way. Okay, I'd say yes. I'd say in the way that I'd written the song, I think I connected, quite well with the idea of Rise. I think it was very cool that I know the company name is Rise Vest, but Rise as a brand, really worked, and I think that's what spoke to me in that it's, investment being the tool, yes, but the key message being that you're going to take yourself from here. And I'm actually a customer actually, so I'm a user, and I think that I relate to the brand in that I mean, with the economy we have, you definitely want to know that something is there that is not just falling down all the time. And so but I also say that the how I relate that with my journey would also be that it's always just for me constantly been about being better than yesterday, just growing constantly. I've shed a lot of the I must be that person or that thing from my life. I mean, there are big goals, there are things I would like to do, but I also think it's very important that you also go through life knowing that in the way that life is random, nothing is set in stone. The only thing you can be better than is the you that you were yesterday, truly. So yeah, I think rising is a thing that's essential, and so we're doing that. I think for me, someone who doesn't like staring at money for too long, I would say is just knowing that just like there's an account, and then there's a plan for it that is not for me to think about. It's just there is a savings plan where I put in some money and saving dollars so that it can stay sensible, and then it's constantly growing. I think that was I think for one of the first few things I actually put in Rise was money from a show I had done. It was with band we had done a show, and then it was like, yeah, I mean, might as well just bought done and put it in there. So. I think it's important. I think you start off like when I was younger, savings was everything. It was all they were talking about. But you grow older and you find that savings are not, they're just that, it's just savings. They're not doing much. And so the thing is, when you live in a place where inflation is a very real thing, and you know that you want your money to just be useful to you, I think investment, comes into play. I won't say that it's been I mean, with the way life is, it's not always been you don't always know like what to do, and that's why it's very helpful when you have brands or just companies that are helping to make that easier. So I would say investment is very key. I think it's very important for any young person or anybody really who is trying to just do more things. Like for me, I think the next thing I want to do is travel. I just want to, go somewhere and just, do that. It's been a while. Since COVID, I don't think I've done a proper trip. Actually, there's a couple of things, because one thing I'm very passionate about is helping young artists not have to make the same mistakes I did. And I say young like I'm an old man, but that's a running joke at Tikoko that I'm 42. But I would say it's important you need to read a lot. You need to know better than your team. I know that you probably have a team, you signed to a management company or you signed with a label, but you need to educate yourself. And I know that it's a lot to ask with the fact that you're actually doing cool work as a creative, as an artist, but it's important to know, because while the people around you will help you and like they want to like your contracts and all that, at the end of the day, it's your career. You get to make decisions, so you need to make decisions from a place of knowledge. You need to know, what does a movie sync deal mean for me? Will this money that I'm taking from this label as a loan, because usually that's what it is, can I pay it back? And even if I can't, like, is this a situation where, but I can grow with this label, I can get better, and we can all, because I think one thing I've always been upset about with and I mean on both sides, when labels have these slave contracts and when artists run out on label contracts, is that there shouldn't be that, because it's a business. It's actually, I think the music industry is one of those unique businesses where nobody's truly a competitor. We can, like, there's no, except for maybe personal beef between artists or between labels, there is no reason why two labels cannot work together. And so what that means is that at every point in time, we can all just be making money. Everybody could be eating. And so it's like, it's important that, but then what happens is the world is not ideal and people will try to cheat you. So you need to then know what you're doing, what you're getting into. But yeah, I just say read. Yes, and ask, talk to people. If you're being offered a deal for something and you know someone in the industry who probably has that knowledge, reach out, ask, and see what they say. But yeah, just read. I would say to also read. For people who are just starting to invest, I would say it's important to know, because I mean, investment for a lot of people it's a buzzword. It's a thing that, oh, you should invest, but then it's like, how? And that there is where it gets tricky, because just like with the last advice, people will try to, one up you. You need to then know that, okay, you know what, I am going into this fully informed. Just general, just what's it called? Rule of thumb. If they're promising you something that's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. Just generally, 30% increase in a month. You need to know what it is they're doing with the money before you say yes to that. But I would say, and all this is stuff that you do a bit of research and you learn. You don't have to make the same mistakes. And I know that there's always stories of scams and all that, but you then, you do your research and then you find out, okay, because there are good investment opportunities and you should look into them because they help you just have a more secure future, because, I mean, regardless of what's happening, you know that the market is growing and all that, regardless of what your current financial situation is, you know that you've put some money away to help you, basically. So research, read.